Welcome back. I'm Jan with Purl Together. In this week's short technique video, we're going to be talking about block number 10 of the Berroco mystery blanket knit along. So this is another cable block. I think it's lovely. At first I wasn't sure how this was going to work out with the twists, and then you have the other pair traveling up beside, and then it switches side. I found it to be really interesting and engaging and pretty easy to knit since we've had some warm-ups with easier cables before. So a little paying attention and it's going along really quickly. All right, let's get started. I'm starting with the long tail cast on, and for casting on 82 stitches, I definitely use the long tail cast on calculator. The link's down below in the video description. But in a nutshell, all you do is take the millimeter diameter of your needles. So for this block, I'm using a size 8, which is a 5 millimeter. And you multiply that by the number of stitches that you want, and then you multiply that by 0.314. And then divide that result by 2.5. I do have a video explaining all that. If you're interested, the link's down below. Anyway, it worked out just fine, and I ended up with the perfect, in my opinion, length of tail. Okay, as we start this block, notice that the rows, the odd numbered rows, are the wrong side rows. As usual, I prefer to work from a chart. So on a wrong side row, I'm going to be working on the back side of the fabric, going from left to right, and then moving up to the second row and going from right to left. So if you're new to reading charts, I do have a link to a video about that as well. Be sure to take note of be sure to read your chart notes so you know for sure what's going on. And we're just going to get into it. So the first row is just going to be knits and purls as kind of a setup, and then we're going to begin the cabling. All right, so I completed the first row, and let me tell you, I had to do it more than once because the first row is the wrong side, so the knits are purls and the purls are knits. So like I said, make sure to consult the chart notes and keep that in mind when you're on the back side. Things are opposite. So, and then you just want to be mindful of the counts. So what the deal is when you're starting on row 1, you're going across here. These are knits, so knit 2, purl 4, knit 2, purl 4, because it's opposite. And you knit all the way through this, and then you repeat from the red line to the other red line. You repeat that once for your total of 82 stitches. So now I'm ready to move on to row 2. And the clue also here is the numerals of the row are on the side where you begin. So I didn't know if you noticed that in previous charts that we've done together. And not all designers will do that, but that's a helpful tip for this particular chart. So we're going to begin here and do 2 purls, and then we're going to do a right cross because it leans to the right. So I'm probably going to do most of this block without a cable needle because it's just a little 2/2 cable. Okay, I'm on row 2. So that's a right side row, and I'm going to begin my cables. I've done the first 2 purl stitches, and now I have a right cross. So if you're using a cable needle, that's pretty straightforward. Just follow the written instructions where you're going to slip 2 stitches to your cable needle, hold that to the back, bring the other 2, knit the other 2, knit the next 2 so they cross in front of the cable needle stitches, and then just simply knit those 2 off. I tend to use a cable needle in the beginning of the pattern when I'm really close to the edge, or it would be, if I dropped 1 stitch off there, it would be difficult to get a hold of it on the cast on edge and then sort that out. So I do tend to use a cable needle a little bit more in the beginning of a square than I will midway through. So then we're going to purl 2 and do a left cross, which is just taking the next 2 stitches off on the cable needle and holding them to the front. So these stitches cross over and lean to the left. So pretty straightforward also. And then I'm just going to carry on working across the row, following the instructions carefully. There's one other thing I want to show you in the center of the chart. As with the other squares, be mindful that we're going to repeat the stitches and rows between the red lines. Okay, so I've done the right cross and the left cross. Now I have 2 purls, 2 knits, and 2 purls. And then you'll notice that cable cross that has some purls involved. So all that means is that you're going to take these 2 stitches across the front, leaning to the left over these 2 purl stitches. These will remain purls though on the other side of the twist. So I'll show you what I mean by that. And again, all of this is written out clearly in your key. So you're going to bring these 2 to the front. You're going to want to purl these 2 next 2 stitches and then knit the 2 from the cable needle. So you're just doing a left cross over purl stitches. So when you look at the chart, that's pretty easy to differentiate from the regular left cross and right cross. Okay, so you'll see that happen in the center of your chart. Okay, I'm going to carry on knitting this and I'll show you what it looks like about halfway through. Okay, things are looking pretty good here. One thing I wanted to point out is when you bring the cable over, and you might have an elongated stitch right here, but that's really pretty easy to, you might have an elongated stitch right here, but that's really pretty easy to readjust with a darning needle or another knitting needle. And, you know, just kind of work that around and fuss with it until things are kind of back the same size. And also blocking will help redistribute the excess here. I have another one of those here, and you can certainly just fuss with it and redistribute the amount of yarn that you have going into that one stitch. And even just doing that helped quite a bit. So I have done 2.5 repeats of the vertical chart, and I probably have it, I might do half of another one after I complete this, but obviously you're just going to measure and then block it to the dimensions that you prefer. As always, I hope you found that video helpful. Next week, we'll be working on the mosaic block. That's a little bit of a different technique with a specific type of chart that I'll explain as well. So watch for that early next week. Thanks for watching.